back to my channel. My name is Michaela, and in today's video, I just want to do a little bit of a catch up with you guys. So I think it's been about 3 months since I uploaded my last video, and I've been wanting to come back, but I haven't been reading that much. I took a couple months off reading to focus on some other hobbies. So I've been getting back into running and training for different races. I did a super short triathlon a couple weeks ago, and I have another triathlon in a couple weeks. But I have started reading again. So I've been taking like daily walks on my lunch and trying to get at least like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of listening to an audiobook in. So I'm really excited about what I've been reading, and I'm gonna go over today what I have read since I last talked to you guys and what I'm currently reading. So let's start with the books that I have read and finished since I last talked to you. I'm gonna start with this book right here called Mary's Monster by Lita Judge. This is a young adult biography of Frankenstein's author Mary Shelley, told through free verse and 300+ illustrations. So yeah, it's actually like a really beautiful book. Let me see if I can kind of flip through it here. So it's really pretty. Yeah, a lot of beautiful illustrations. It's told in verse, so it's kind of like one really long poem all about Mary Shelley's life. I rated this book a full 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It has a really gloomy atmosphere to it. All the illustrations are in black and white, and it really adds to like this haunting gothic atmosphere, which I really enjoyed. We're following Mary Shelley's life from when she's born all the way up into like her older age. And I learned a lot about Mary Shelley through this book. It also focuses a lot on the period of time when she writes Frankenstein. The author, Lita Judge, did a really excellent job bringing the story to life with the beautiful illustrations and the just enough placement of text. So the prose is very sparing. There are some sections with a little bit more writing, but I really enjoyed how the illustrations kind of tell the story for the most part. I had a terrific time revisiting Mary Shelley's story here and felt that the images crafted a tremendously moving and immersive read. I especially love the very last few pages. Mary's story is so sad and dark and full of fraught, devastating moments, but I admire her deeply for her brilliance and for her perseverance despite the hardships she endured. So that was a really good read. Moving on to the next book that I read, and that is a horror book, and it's called Nameless Things by Ernest Jensen. I did have high hopes for this one. I think I talked about it actually in a video of like new horror releases, and I ended up getting my hands on it and reading it. I did not love this one. I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars. But since then, I've kind of considered lowering it down to a 2-star because it didn't really stand out to me. I don't have a ton of memories from it, and it just didn't really like live up to my expectations. So this is kind of like a wilderness horror survival story where our main characters are in the middle of a state park in Colorado, and they're on this hiking trip. While they're there, there is a meteor strike that causes a rock slide, trapping them and a group of other campers within this like forest. So they're trying to find a way out, but what they end up finding is this meteor strike has also caused an infestation of creatures. It is a bit of a creature feature, and that was interesting. There's some body horror in this one, which I enjoyed. But overall, I felt like this book kind of just became a lot of the same scenario happening over and over again, where like that meteor strike happens very early on where they get trapped, and then throughout the rest of the book, they're just trying to search for a way out of this state park, and they're battling these creatures. By a certain point in, I just was getting so bored, and I was like, okay, when is this gonna be over? Like, nothing new is happening. It was just really losing my interest. There is body horror, insect horror, There's some really disgusting there's some really disgusting parts, which I honestly enjoyed. Those parts were really engaging. So I put in my notes around 47%. I was starting to get bored and feeling like it was droning on. And like the threat didn't feel that scary anymore. Maybe because we were just being exposed to it so much, it just kind of became like second nature. Like it wasn't that scary or didn't seem that threatening anymore. I do really love settings that are set in the wilderness and like survival horror stories like this, but I don't know, I needed something more. I don't know, I needed some like more mystery or something else going on other than just like this same plot line happening over and over and over. The next book I read was one I really did love. That book was Persuasion by Jane Austen. So I have been on a journey like the past year or so to read all of Jane Austen's novels, and I finished Persuasion. The last one I have left is 𝕵𝕝, and I have started 𝕵𝕝, but I've only gotten like a page in, and I've kind of like lost my momentum a bit. I really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed every Jane Austen novel I've read, and I rated Persuasion a full 5 stars. What I've been doing as I've been reading all of Jane Austen's novels is watching some of the adaptations with them. Watching the adaptations with reading the books has really helped me to like get attached to the characters, get a picture of what's going on. And there's a couple different adaptations of Persuasion that I watched, and there's actually one on YouTube. If you're a fan of Persuasion or you're interested in it, there's a really great adaptation on YouTube. It's from 1971. I'll try to leave a link down below. There's 2 parts of it, and I really loved that adaptation. I kept putting it on like constantly. This is what I do a lot too. Like I will just watch the same thing over and over again. And that was a show that or a movie that I was like looping over and over again. I would put it on as I go to sleep. So initially, I did find Persuasion a lot harder to get into than any of the other Jane Austen books I've read. I had to keep restarting the book like 3 or 4 times or something because I didn't know what was going on. Like it wasn't clicking for me. But at a certain point, I finally was able to get into it. I think it was due to watching that adaptation from 1971 like over and over and over again. And then so I kind of knew what to expect. Like I could picture the characters. I could see what was coming. I knew what to expect. So when I got to it in the book, it made sense to me and I could comprehend it. In my opinion, it's a lot slower than some of the other Jane Austen reads. It's a lot of like internal emotions from the characters, because this is like a like old flame romance what is that called? Like second chance romance? I don't know. Our main couple knew each other in the past and they were together, but they ended up breaking up, and then they come back together when they're a little bit older and they start to like interact, and it's like a very slow build seeing them come back together. So it was a lot slower. There wasn't as much like going on. Something about it, something about the atmosphere, the writing, the characters, I don't know. It still pulled me in, it still hooked my interest. And after I finished this one, I finished the book, and then I started listening to the audiobook, and I listened to the audiobook like 3 times in a row back to back as I was going on walks. And it was just really calming. It was really relaxing. Like, I guess maybe that slower pace and that like the atmosphere, the slow laid back atmosphere was really nice and relaxing for my walk. So I enjoyed Persuasion. I could definitely see myself like rereading it again, turning back to the audiobook when I'm just going for a walk and just want to like relax and I don't know, like put my mind on something else. So that was really good. I have hopes that I will get to 𝕵𝕝 soon, but I'm kind of like on a break right now. I'm on a break with my Jane Austen, even though it's my last one. So I might not get to that during the summer. Maybe during the fall or winter I can try to get back into 𝕵𝕝 and put that behind me, put that challenge behind me. The next book that I read since I've last talked to you guys is a Goosebumps book, and it's called My Hairiest Adventure. It's Goosebumps book number 26. I really liked this one. I find myself like I keep thinking about this one. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. So our main character, he finds an old bottle of tanning lotion and he rubs it on. Him and his friends rub it on. It doesn't really do anything, but then the main character starts noticing that he's like growing hair all over his body. It keeps growing back after he shaves it off, and he doesn't know what to do. And I really liked this one. I thought it had like a really fun twist ending. So not much to say about this, I guess, but I really liked this Goosebumps book. The last book that I've read since I last posted is called Come Closer by Sara Gran. So as you can see, I only read 5 books in like the last 3 months. So definitely took a break from reading. So I read this one the most recently. I read this one within this last month, and I loved this book so much. This will definitely be placing in like my best books of 2025. It was really good, really good. So I rated this a full 5 stars, obviously. This is a possession story. Unexplainable noises in the house, strange incidents at work, a reoccurring dream featuring a seductive but terrifying woman. Are these signs of insanity, or is Amanda, a happily married architect, an unwitting host to a demonic presence? So basically our main character may or may not be possessed by a demon in this book, and I absolutely loved it. I actually read this in a single day, which is crazy for me because like I said, I've been in a reading slump. I haven't been wanting to read, and I picked this book up off my shelf. I found this at a Goodwill a couple months ago and grabbed it because I had heard good things about it. It was on my TBR, and picked it up off my shelf because I want to get back into reading, and read it in a single day. Like, I could not stop reading this. I was so interested in the main character and what she was going through and her struggle. That is something I'm really interested in right now, is like this slow descent into madness, which is definitely something that the main character in this novel is going through. Like slowly going off the rails, slowly making worse and worse decisions, and like her life slowly like imploding, self-destructing. And that is something I keep picking up right now, is books about main characters who are like self-destructing. So yeah, I really liked this one a lot. 5 stars. Really like the writing. It's super short. The writing is like quick to the point. You could read it in a single day, and yeah, I thought this book was really good. So now let's go ahead and talk about the books that I am currently reading. So I have a couple of audiobooks from the library, and then I also have some physical books. So let's start with the audiobooks that I'm currently reading. The one that I'm furthest into is called Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. This audiobook is 11 hours long, and I am 68% into it. This one took a while for me to get into it, and I was considering DNFing it. Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason is a darkly funny and deeply moving novel about a woman navigating the complexities of mental illness, marriage, and identity as she tries to make sense of her life and find hope amid the wreckage. The first half of this book focuses so much on her family, like relationships, and I don't know, it just wasn't really grabbing my interest. But around the midpoint, when we get into her marriage and more of the mental health side, that is where I started to get more hooked and interested. And I've been listening to this, as I said earlier, as I'm going on like walks on my lunch break. So I've been listening to about an hour of this every day, and I'm really excited for my walk later today so I can listen to another hour of this, because the point I left off on really starts like talking more about her mental illness, and I'm hooked. I want to know more. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that one. The next book I am reading is called The Book of X by Sarah Rose Etter, And this is a really weird one. The Book of X by Sara Rose Etter tells the haunting, surreal, coming-of-age tale of Cassie, a woman born with a literal knot in her stomach, as she struggles with her body, loneliness, and society's cruelty in a landscape as bizarre as it is brutal. This audiobook is 5 hours long. I'm 15% into it. I started reading this one before Sorrow and Bliss, and then I put it down and started reading Sorrow and Bliss, and I haven't picked it back up. But I do plan to pick it back up after I finish Sorrow and Bliss. So I'm kind of enjoying it so far. It hasn't gotten to the point yet where it's hooked me. It's interesting, but it's kind of like bleak, almost like a little bit hopeless feeling. And like, not that I can't enjoy a book that feels like that, but I don't know, I guess I just kind of wasn't wanting to put it on during my walks, and I wasn't wanting to like feel like that exactly, so I put it down, picked something else back up. But I do want to get back into it. I'm interested to see where it's gonna go, and it seems like it's gonna be a weird little like surreal book, and typically I do like that type of thing, so maybe I'll have an update for you guys in my next video about that one. I have one more audiobook downloaded. I haven't started it yet, and it'll probably end up getting returned, but I'll put like a new hold on it, and that is A Touch of Jen by Beth Morgan. I've been hearing about this book for years and how it's really weird, and I'm interested in it. I know I've seen like very like mixed reviews, but I still want to try it. I want to see what I think, and I will start that whenever I start it. So that is all the audiobooks that I'm currently reading, and then I have a small little stack here of physical books. So the first one is Nobody Is Ever Missing by Catherine Lacey, a haunting, darkly witty journey of self-exile as she hitchhikes through a strange landscape and confronts grief, identity, and the dread of truly disappearing into her own mind. Yeah, our main character basically just leaves her whole life behind. Like, she just takes her backpack, gets a plane ticket, and goes to New Zealand, doesn't tell anybody, doesn't tell her husband that she's leaving, she just goes, and she just wants to escape. And as the book goes on, it kind of jumps back and forth between present and past. And in past portions, we kind of learn about some of the things that have gone on in her life. We learn a lot about her mental state and what she's going through in her mind. And I am finding that very interesting, following this woman who's kind of like self-destructing. She has like kind of everything that you are supposed to want, and her life is pretty stable, and then she just abandons it all and goes on this journey to kind of like be alone. It's really interesting following her thoughts, and it's very introspective, where she's kind of experiencing all of this stuff and we're just seeing like what's going through her mind. And I'm really interested in this one and enjoying this one. I am on page 156. It's pretty short, it's only about 240 pages, so hopefully I'll be able to finish that one pretty soon. The next book that I am currently reading is a Goosebumps book, and that is called Chicken Chicken. And this is a really weird one. There is our two main characters, I believe they're brother and sister, and they pull a prank on one of their like reclusive neighbors who may or may not be a witch. And after they pull this prank on her, the witch says chicken chicken at them and curses them. That's basically as far as I've gotten. So far so good, quick, easy, fun read. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going with that one. And the final book that I'm reading is this big, huge novel, but it's actually 4 novels in one, and I'm just reading one of them. And that one is called Lolly Willows, and this is by Sylvia Townsend Warner. So Lolly Willows was published in 1926, so it is definitely 100 years old. It's following the heroine who escapes 2 alternatives she dreads: conventional marriage and conventional spinsterhood, by arriving at an understanding with Satan. So that totally hooked me and grabbed my attention. A satirical feminist classic about a middle-aged spinster who abandons her life of family duty in London to move to a quiet village in the 𝔹𝕠𝕠𝕜𝕤, only to forge a pact with the devil that grants her the eerie freedom and identity she's long been denied. So that synopsis really reminds me of the movie The Witch, which I love. That's definitely one of my favorite horror movies. I'm especially interested by the fact that this was published in 1926 and it's dealing with that sort of subject matter. That seems very ahead of its time and like groundbreaking for the era. So I did start reading this one. I'm about 14 pages in and I did start skimming ahead to see like, okay, obviously the part I'm most interested in is when she moves into the woods and starts like dealing with Satan. And I started skimming ahead to see like when does that happen, and it is quite a ways away. So I kind of have a lot to go of like this like day-to-day monotony of like family life, kind of like how I was talking about with Sara and Bliss, how like the first 50% of it is like this day-to-day monotony of like relationships and life and work, and it's just, that stuff is boring to me. I want to get to the part where she starts dealing with the devil, and I'm gonna try to keep going. The way it's told is challenging. It's a bit dry, but I'm really interested in the overall synopsis, so I don't want to give up on it yet. I really moved away from DNFing. I DNF'd a lot last year, and this year I'm trying to not DNF as much. I don't think there's anything wrong with DNFing. Like, honestly, it's really freeing to stop reading a book that you're not enjoying and like move on to something else. Because there's so many books out there, you know? Like, no need to torture yourself if you're not enjoying something. But also, like, at the same time, I feel like I can get into a pattern where I'm not giving it enough of a chance and not being like patient enough. And I want to build like my patience and like resilience in that way. Even if I'm not loving it, like, okay, keep going, you know, like you might start to like it, at least try to give it maybe 50%. I don't know. So I'm moving a little bit away from DNFing and trying to give books a little bit more of a chance and see if I can get to the end. Nothing wrong with DNFing. I still really see the value in it. But that's that one. That is everything that I'm currently reading. That is everything that I have read since I've last talked to you guys. I've been doing good overall. Like I said, I've been focusing on other hobbies and like focusing on goals around more like my health and like fitness goals. And that's been really good to be like moving and having these goals. Like, it's been really good for me overall. So I'm in a pretty good place right now, and I'm excited to start introducing reading back into my life and just taking it slowly, one day at a time, one book at a time. Not trying to read 20 books a month, but if I can read like 3 books a month, like, hey, that's awesome. I'd be really happy with that. So I know it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you've been. Let me know what you've been reading. If you've read anything really good that you want to recommend to me, please let me know what that is. But other than that, hopefully I will be back soon and talk to you in the next video.